Okay. So let's consider another possibility though. Let's say that we don't want people to roll back the odometer, but we do want to make it legal for them to increase the odometer. Let's just say for whatever reason, if the odometer is at 50,000 miles, it's okay to set it to 51,000 miles. So what would that look like? And that's really where the power of properties comes in. So gets are often just returning some field value. But let me add that set back in. And this time what I'm going to say is, as long as the value you're trying to set is larger than the value that mileage already has, it's okay to go ahead and do it. So if mileage is less than value, and remember the value keyword, that was the thing on the right-hand side, and in our example, when I uncomment this anyway, that will be 5. So if mileage is less than value, in other words, this would be increasing mileage, then go ahead and do the assignment. Underscore mileage equals value. We're good with that. Otherwise, not so good. So we don't really have to do anything, but just as an example, let's go ahead and do an output statement. I'm going to say system.diagnostics.debug and something like attempt to roll back odometer thwarted. I don't know, whatever. And notice I wrote this, oh, I'm sorry, I said debug, I meant debug.writeLine. Notice I wrote that to the debug window so that I don't actually see that on the console. I'm only going to see that sort of behind the scenes. So now we have an odometer that says you can read it any time you want, go ahead and return that value, and everybody's happy. And you can see how many miles is on the car. And we have another part of the property, the set part, that says if you're trying to set the value higher, then go ahead, that's fine. But if you're trying to set the value lower, then we will put some information in the debug window saying not to do that. So if we go back to program, we now are able to uncomment this. And now it's legal to do this, but of course, it won't have any effect. All right, so let's just go ahead and rather than running this, let's go ahead and step through this code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to debug and use F11 because we have so few lines. It's kind of nice to just walk through how this code is executed. So I'm going to use the hotkey F11, as you see here. This thing right here. That allows me to step through the code one line at a time. So F11. Oh, I made some build errors. What do we got here? Builds errors. Oh, I missed a semicolon. Okay. So that's easy to fix. That was right there. Semicolon. Back to the problem at hand, F11. So we start in, create that variable, whatever. Then we create the Pinto reference variable. And then we assign the reference variable to an object by saying new car. And then we call drive, and drive sets mileage to 100, and then writes out that you're driving. And that's the end of drive. We then go back to main, and then we go to pinto.odometer, which sort of looks like some storage. It looks like data, and in fact it is data, but there is some code behind it to protect our odometer from unscrupulous users who might want to set the odometer lower than it actually is or should be. So we executed that code, and if we look at the value of odometer, just hover over it here, you'll see that it's still equal to 100. In other words, it didn't get set back because we're not allowing that to happen. All right, so let's actually see that code executing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this and go back to car, and I'm going to actually set a breakpoint in the set part of odometer so we can see this happening. So starting over, F11, create the new car, drive, execute that. And now here we get to odometer. And because I set a breakpoint, we actually see the code execute. So at any rate, it says if mileage is less than value, if we hover over this, we can see that mileage is 100 and value is 5. So mileage is definitely not less than value. So we will not do this part of the statement. We will go down to the else part, F11, and then there's the else part about to be executed, and that's the end of that part of it anyway. All right, so then if we go to view output, we can see that there was in fact an attempt to roll back the odometer, and it has in fact been thwarted. On the other hand, just to prove that this is working as we want it to, if we were to have said, let's put it here, pinto.odometer equals 4,000, and then console.writeline, pinto.odometer, right, and run that code, we can see that, sure enough, there's my output statement, there's the original value, and then I bumped it up, which is legal, because if you go back and look at what the set code does for odometer, it's fine to be able to do that.